I've been thinking about belonging a lot lately. As an HR executive, I'm not talking about the corporate version of belonging or the ERG-friendly version of belonging, or even the version that shows up in the everyday engagement surveys. I'm talking about the felt experience of it. What does it feel like to belong? It's the kind that you notice in your body despite very friendly smiles and interactions. It's in what you can say as much as what you don't. It's in how much of yourself you feel you can bring into a room versus how much of it needs to be on standby, tucked away somewhere. One of the biggest misunderstandings in leadership culture today is that fitting in is not the same as belonging. A lot of people go into work every day holding their breath, feeling like they're waiting to be found out about who they really are and how they really think. They're doing everything right. They're competent, reliable, respectable, follow the rules. They're even liked, and yet something still feels off. There's this quiet calculation that's happening all the time. How much can I really say? How much of my opinion can I really give here? How safe is it for me to be myself? I want to talk about belonging as a condition of power, because for many people, especially from marginalized identities or folks that are visible minorities where they work, fitting in isn't belonging at all. It's the price of staying. It's the cost of entry. If you've ever felt like you needed to sand yourself down, dial it back a bit, be just a little bit less of who you are in order to belong, this episode is for you. Okay, most organizations say that they want belonging, right? But what they actually want is alignment, agreements, and for you to know when to speak and when to stay quiet. Even the idea of belonging, it has this implication that there is already a standard set and you will need to adjust or mold or shape yourself into the standard that already exists. Fitting in then becomes a survival skill. It's not fake, it's not manipulative, it's about adapting. And it's what many of us have to do every day in corporate. Learning how to read the room, learning what gets rewarded, learning what gets you labeled as difficult or somebody that is going to challenge the status quo. But here's the challenge. Fitting into these norms teaches you how to stay, but not how to actually belong. Fitting in looks like editing your language, adjusting your tone, choosing neutrality over challenging honestly, and translating yourself constantly, feeling like you have to over-explain what you meant, what your intent is, and why is it that you have a perspective that differs from the norm. You're thinking before you speak, you're adjusting your time, you're watching reactions, you're managing perspectives and perceptions always. The inclusion that you experience then is conditional upon those things. Your difference is palatable, your perspective didn't disrupt, your dissent is productive, something that helps the conversation, and your identity didn't challenge the center. Here's the hard part. Your differences are celebrated right up until the point that they differ with somebody else's. That's the moment where curiosity turns into defensiveness and bringing your whole self becomes, bring it, but maybe not that part. Suddenly you're not a culture fit, you're misaligned, you're not really on board with what we do here. And this is where people start confusing belonging with compliance. Conditional belonging isn't a personal issue. It's not about resilience. It's not about confidence. It's actually about a systemic pattern. You belong as long as you agree. You're here as long as you don't rock the boat. You're valued when that difference is convenient. Most leaders don't name this because it's uncomfortable and because it's faster to get everybody to assimilate and get things done. What's the point in having this team and group of people with different skills and different gifts and different superpowers if you're not able to harness them? What would be the point of wanting diversity if you were only to expect everybody to have the same type of ideas, same type of perspectives, same type of solutions to solve the problem? Traditional leadership models, honestly, weren't built to acknowledge and take advantage of that difference. They were built to maintain coherence. They were built for assimilation, protecting hierarchy, reducing friction. Sameness was actually the standard and the objective. Of course, differences introduce ambiguity, lack of predictability, outcomes that you don't yet know what are going to come to be. Most leaders aren't asking these questions enough. They're seeing engagement as positive. They're seeing smiling faces and people who like working where they work. But if they stop to ask more of the question, do people feel included? Do people feel that they can honestly bring their perspective to the conversation? Does this feel like a safe room where idea that I have or that the leader has or that the company has can be challenged. Man, if we were asking that question more, we would have such a different, more vibrant experience of workplace culture. We're rarely asking who has to edit themselves every single day just to be able to make it through, whose disagreement is tolerated and whose is punished, who's considered difficult here and why. How did they come to have that label? Belonging is actually about having safety with differences. It's not showing up because we have the same perspective and we belong. It's having a sense of inclusion and acceptance and respect in spite of the fact that how we feel about the same topic might actually be different. So who gets to belong then to the norms, to the worldviews? Who establishes what are we belonging to and why? I really hope that in this evolving phase of work, belonging can stop meaning joining the establishment and actually being accepted without forfeiting our differences and the things that make us unique and individual. I don't think people are asking for constant affirmation on this. I don't think they're asking for agreement or special treatment. I think they're asking for something a lot simpler. And that question is it safe for me to show up as I am without first proving I need to fit in? In this era of leadership, in these crazy times, we need to do more to be able to shape the world in a way that's productive and in a way that we're going to continue to thrive. Without that diversity of thought, without us challenging each other, especially as the media starts to censor information and as our feeds become algorithmic streams of propaganda that align to what we already believe in, without having safe spaces for us to challenge each other, we are going to be lost. If you lead people, I challenge you this week to think about questions you could be asking to check in for belonging within your team. Look for whose voices are quiet. Be curious about the ways somebody might need to censor stuff based on the rituals that already exist where you work. But most of all, be mindful of this idea that fitting in certainly doesn't mean that you belong, but it doesn't have to be that way forever. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it along with a friend. And if you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so you can hear more episodes from me every Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one.